Well, good evening. Welcome to our next segment of Ask the Pastors. And it's a privilege here during this segment to have with us missionary pastor Biz Lerisse from Haiti and Dominican Republic. Brother, it seems like all of our communication is by video, but praise the Lord for technology that we have today to be able to communicate this way. And that's pretty awesome. Well, welcome, Biz. We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with you guys. Maybe why don't you refresh folks a little bit about your background and testimony and your family and what's going on there.
Yes, sir. Well, as you know, my name is Biz Lerisse from Haiti. I was born in Haiti in 1976. My parents were poor Haitians, and so life was not good for them so far as economically speaking. And so they heard about how life was a lot better for Haitians who actually made it to the U.S. So that becomes my parents' goal to come to the U.S. And so I was only about maybe 3 years old at that time. And so my parents decided to leave me with my aunt in Haiti. And so they got on a sailboat to sail to Miami. The reason they got on this boat is back in those days, even still today, if you want to travel as a Haitian or as a tourist to come to the U.S., you have to have proof of, would you say, collateral, like houses, family. You have to have a bank account. You have to have certain amount of money in the bank. And obviously the embassy is doing their job, and that is they want to make sure whoever come to the U.S. will not be a liability, but they will be an asset to the country. But my parents will be a liability, back in those days, okay? Hey. So that's why they got in the sailboat. And so they actually sailed all the way to Miami, and they made it. And so this became obviously my future, because if my parents are in the U.S., so that someday, opportunity to be here is really, may I say, high. So I grew up with my aunt in Haiti. She is actually the Christian lady who God used to influence my life. She's the one that I basically watched her life the way that Christianity was real in her life. She did not know how to read. However, she would have somebody come to the house to read the Bible to her. And then she loves to make comments on the Old Testament stories about Elijah, Elisha, and then, Moses and Joseph. And so as young people growing up, in Haiti, we didn't have a TV, radio, or anything at all. We would just do it poor, right? So the Bible really became my desire, my thirst. I began to read it myself and to begin to learn to pray. And I began to see God answered my prayers as a young boy. So to make a long story short, obviously I'm growing, physically speaking. And now I am about 14 years old. And so my mom and dad, they've been in the U.S. for at least 11 years. So they've been established. They have residence. They have good jobs. And so they were able to apply for me to have residence here in the U.S. So they went to Haiti. They got me and brought me to live with them. So I was 14 at that time. So I went to high school. Then I graduated high school, but deep in my heart, I wanted to be a missionary. I wanted to go back to Haiti and be a pastor. In fact, before I left Haiti, I promised the Lord that I would do that. But, going to a secular school, like a public school, most of the counselors in the office were guiding the students to graduate toward big state colleges, based on your GPA, grade level. And I think I was like a 3.0. And so they recommended I would go to Delaware State University, and they gave me plenty of reasons. And so I did. And I went, and I was at the state college for about a year. I was taking international business administration. I speak French. I speak obviously English, Creole, now some Spanish. But back then, my goal was I can travel internationally if I get in the business in the arena, and then my language ability will be an advantage to me. Well, while I was at the state college, I had a part-time job to make extra money, and then a lady that I work with invited me to some kind of a competition that was going on in her church for people who bring visitors, and so she wanted to take me to church so she can win the competition because she was a Cuban lady. So I agreed and I went, and to find out that was a fundamental independent Baptist church. Okay, so that's in Dover, Delaware. So the name of the church is Capital Baptist. So that's how I got introduced to a fundamental Baptist church. And so when I went to the church, obviously I was a state college student. Man, the pastor, when he preached, I can understand what he preached because I grew up charismatic in Haiti. There was really no Holy Ghost came down. There was no tongue speaking, The pastor did not speak, in a higher level of language where we could not understand, It was, plain, convicting Bible preaching, teaching. So I got convicted. And so I enjoyed it, the service, the message. So I went back Sunday night. Then I enjoyed it. I went back the next Sunday, And so I became a member of the church for about 2 months, not long. Then it was just the summertime. And then they had a tour group that came from Hiles Anderson College that was singing for them. And then that tour group signed me up as a student because in my heart, when they were promoting the college, if you want to be a missionary, you want to be full-time Christian service, if you want to be in ministry, this is where you ought to go. And so I signed up. And so I transferred from Delaware State and I went to Hiles Anderson College. Now, in my heart, I wanted to go, but the truth is I had no idea what I was getting myself into,
Right.
Because this is a fundamental, Baptist college. And so when I got there, I was shocked. I could not wear my hat backward. I couldn't wear my shorts in public. I could not, hug the girls, even if I wanted to give me a hug, I couldn't do it, just crazy stuff, Then you had to every weekend be out there and the bus out or so when they would do something. And I mean, and it was like boot camp. And so I struggled my freshman year. I really wanted to just quit and give up. And then it's like the Lord put in my mind, if you brought me to college and that's what I wanted, there might be a reason, that's what He wants me to do. So I kind of stopped fighting against the system and I gave in to it. And then that's when I really took off so far as making progress. So I was able to make good grades, and then obviously I began to really learn how to win the loss. I became the bus captain, the bus driver, Sunday school superintendent, and so I really took off. And then I met my wife, and then we dated, and then we got married. And so, yeah, and then I graduated, and eventually we went back to Haiti together as a family. Now almost 20 years, we've been serving God together.
Amen. And 6 children. Are all the kids still with you?
Yes, they are. With now, I'm making preparation for my son, the oldest, BJ. He's got probably 1 more year left with us, and so I'm thinking of putting together like a little package for him. I would like for him to learn a couple trades before he goes to Bible college, right, like welding, mechanic. I think as a surgeon technician, this is the guy, the people who pass the tools to the surgeons, when they have an operation at the hospital. That's only like a 2-year program. So I've been thinking of different thoughts and ideas and where to kind of guide him toward. He wants to be some kind of a pastor's assistant pastor, or he wants to be in the ministry. But at the same time, I would like for him to be well-rounded. He know how to play soccer. He know how to play basketball. He know how to play baseball, and and so I want to make him, may I say, well-rounded, so he can fit in any place, anywhere he goes. He can relate with people, So this is where we are with now with him.
Amen. That's a blessing. So how are you and your family? You all are stateside now and kind of stuck a little bit. But how are you guys dealing with this current situation?
Well, it's in a way it's been good, bittersweet. Okay. What I mean by that is I have a goal in front of me. As a fella, I'm a driven guy. When I have a goal, I want to really strive to reach that goal. I wanted to sign up 50 new churches when I came here in the state. As you read our prayer letter, we have so many projects that I'm working on.
Right.
And so when we first came here in September of 2019, we began to travel in October. So I was just constantly, in churches every month. I was sometimes in 12 churches, sometimes 16. It was go, and stuff. So when the pandemic hit, we needed to rest because my wife was tired, the kids were tired, and I was tired, to be honest, And so God organized it, planned it properly, strategically. We were in West Virginia when obviously churches are calling me, cancel all the meetings because they can't have me because, February, everybody was upside down. We don't know what we're going to do, okay? Right. So there was a pastor, friend of mine in the area of West Virginia, Parkersburg, West Virginia, McLean. I called him and I said, we needed a place to stay. And then he said, yeah, he has a man in his church who has a home that he normally let pastors or missionaries stay in. I can call him and see what he would say. His name is Mr. Vich, or he gladly let us stay in the house. The house had my goodness. He started with food, 3-bedroom, fit our need. To the minute detail. And so as we stayed there, on the left hand there was a widow lady, on the right hand another widow lady. And so they constantly bringing us food, money, and I would tell them, please don't do this, and I would literally speak and push them away, but they would literally force us, to take the money from them, So, and then people would drive down the street and stop and then come and bring us money, about $300, $400, $500, and for our kids, it was amazing. In the church and Landmark Baptist, the whole time during the pandemic, they were still having church service, and of course they had to limit how many people came into the service. At one time only 20 people can be inside the building, so it's like one to the left, one in this corner, one to, it was just chaos. Okay, that's just the bottom line. But as a church, they were really good to us. I think they gave us like $2,000+ love offering during that time, which was really timing that really met our needs. And then for my wife, I was able to take over the kids every morning. I would get up and take care of the kids, and my wife would get away, go for a walk, and then go spend 3 or 4 hours in her Bible, time with the Lord. And then, then we obviously got to spend more time together. We ride bikes together, we play basketball together, We wanted to go fishing, but it didn't really work out, So, that's the bittersweet. The bitter part is I didn't have any meeting, right? So I couldn't reach my goal the way that I wanted to. But the sweet thing was the fact that we got really close together during that 3 months. The truth is we travel a lot together. We in the car constantly together, but we're really not spending quality time. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so yeah. So it's been good. And now that we're back traveling, our schedule beginning to pick back up. And then so that's the reason I'm putting off our leaving time until October to see if I can make up for the time that we lost.
And you told me just a little while ago, before we started recording, that the country just opened back up recently, correct?
Yes. It's been 2 weeks, they open up. And so I've been reading the news, or especially the U.S. Embassy webpage that kind of, post up if you would, the facts. That's what's going on with now in the country, the Dominican Republic. So now they have a high case of coronavirus, and it's constantly rising up. They're up to 40,000 plus. And then they have close to 1,000 deaths, if you would, from the coronavirus. And so supposedly they open up to tourism, okay? And so all the resorts, open up. But the U.S. Embassy advising all the Americans to stay out, don't come in, because all the hospitals are maxed out. And so if you were to get sick, where would you go? And obviously there's a lot of people who have the virus with now, so it's really a high risk of getting, getting affected.
Right.
So, and then if you are an American living in the Dominican Republic, with now obviously the U.S. Embassy webpage advice that you will get out of the country while you can. Don't wait on the government to come to get you out. So they're advising people to go ahead and get out. So, that's another reason why I decided to wait for at least a couple months and then let them get control over the coronavirus before we go in. And then also, they just had what you call presidential election. And the president who was in office, he lost the election. So they have a new president coming in. So this is a new administration coming in. And so normally when you get that transition, it takes 2 to 3 months for the country to get back into a normalcy of operation. And then this is from the Dominican Republic view. The president is now talking to Congress in the country. His request is that they would allow him to shut the country back down again for another 25 days. So this is really not a good time to go in. And so I just wanted to use wisdom. My heart says go back, but my brain screaming said no. Yeah. So I'm following my brain.
Yeah. Oh, amen. Well, there is so much unrest right now in so many areas, not just from COVID and the things that even Dominican and Haiti, and we can talk about that here in a moment. But I'd also like to ask you and have you address, all the racial unrest that is taking place, not just across our country, but across this globe. Mm-hmm. And I think folks would love to hear your perspective on what exactly is going on right now with all that, and how we can even be praying. And here in Montana, we're a little isolated from some of it.
Right.
But what's your take on all that?
Well, that is a good question, and it is a complicated question. Okay, there's really no one answer for it. There is a spiritual aspect of it. There is a social aspect of it. There's also a historical aspect of it. And you also have a political aspect of it. Okay, so all of these put together cause what I said confusion. All right, so right. To give, I would say, an honest, clear, effective view, you have to separate all those things. You got to put the spiritual apart by itself, the social, the historical, the political, okay? And then you be able to have a clear, if you would, access to the question. Let's talk about the spiritual aspect of it, okay? So I was reading in my Bible in Genesis chapter 6, which is a well-known, if you would, passage in the Bible. And in verse 3, this is when God was dealing in the day of Noah with the human race. And he says, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with men, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Okay. So flesh, you can go through the scripture to the book of Romans, you can go to Revelation, you can go with, in 1 John. Whenever you deal with the flesh, this is where the lust of the flesh can take over the human mind, and this is how Satan actually ruled basically the human race through the flesh. Okay, all you're dealing here back in Noah day, human flesh were out of control. They were not having spiritual thoughts. They were just evil one toward another. Okay, from a spiritual aspect, all you're watching is basically the manifestation of the human flesh.
Right.
And that's what causes all this evil to be, because in 1 John it says, God is love. If God dwell in me, he dwell in you, then we're supposed to love one another. John's, the apostle says, is number one, get saved, and then number two, live in the love of God. Okay. So we know in the book of Acts, the apostle Paul gives the clarity of the fact that God created the human race with one blood. It's just no matter what color, what race you are,
Amen.
Okay. So from the spiritual aspects of it, I'm watching the manifestation of the human flesh.
Right.
And it's violent, it's evil, it's wicked, it's vile, no matter how you want to say it. But this is human flesh out of control. Okay. Politically speaking, obviously, you have here in the state two different sides. You have the Democratic Party. You have, if you would, the Republican Party. Okay, and obviously, to me, it seems like the Democratic Party is behind this thing. If you would, this guy named Floyd, who obviously was done unjustly, and you can see it in the video. It's not right, and
right.
I have kids growing up here in the state. My son might be here in the state. He may become another black man here in the U.S.
Right.
It's just the fact. Okay, and so to watch the situation happening, how the police kill him. From the political point of view, yes, it's not right. And then we wish that never did happen. However, okay, I'm gonna be blunt. The guy is dead. Okay. And from the police side of it, I compare it with one bad apple in the middle of a bunch of good apples, okay? Which means not all police are bad people. We know that. My son might become a cop. There's a bunch of, black cops,
Right.
And so, but, in any, would you say, career of life or any branch of work, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna make error. If you are a surgeon, you make mistakes as you operate on people, and sometimes they die. I was talking with a pastor friend of mine. His wife had a surgery, and then so after the surgery she felt pain in her back and everything, and so when they went and had an x-ray, the doctor forgot a needle inside of it. So they had to go back and open her up and take it. No, I mean, I'm a pastor. I make mistakes, in the field of pastor. Sometimes, excuse me, it's with people's lives, that has serious consequence. Okay. So should I kill all pastors? Should I, judge every one of them to be bad? And, so I look at the situation the same way, and these are police who make mistakes, are human, okay? However, the political party want to use that. People who will never give a rip about the guy. People who will never even care about it. But this is an opportunity to use this fella's, image, face, and, to get the agenda across. And everybody's, I would call it stomping, dancing on the top of this, and I'm thinking, well, okay, if he was alive, would you really truly care about him in that way? No. He needed money, right? I think he had a bad check or something. He, whatever, signed that was not good, and he needed help. Okay, all of these people that are jumping left and right, about his death and everything. Well, if he was alive, would you really care with the love of God and really try to give him a job or help him, give him a handout? You wouldn't do it. Okay, so this is where, to me, I see there's a political side of this thing, the Democratic Party, the gun control people, the Antifa, I think that's what they call them, and then also you have a bunch of other groups. They want to use this as an opportunity to get the agenda across that has nothing to do with true love and care for the individual fella who actually died. Okay, now here's my other point of view on it. With my children, it's my duty to teach them respect. Okay, for, if you would, authority. I have been pulled over by cops many times, and I have reacted both ways. I've reacted with kindness and love, and I've reacted with being mad. Each one of those have the consequences. I like the kindness better. You know, like one time, okay, to be honest, one time, that's when I was young and stupid, okay? I was driving my car and then my license was revoked. I shouldn't be driving, but I was driving anyhow. That's when I was at the state college, okay? Before I went to housing and got saved. And so I'm driving and the cop pulled me over because when he did, I knew I'm done. In my heart, I said, man, I'm dead. I'm done, you know. But I was kind. I sat there and he came to my window. He said, sir, your license plate is hanging off by a thread. It's about to fall off. Would you please fix that? In my heart, I said, yes, sir, I will. And I went and I fixed it, get back to my car, and I drove off. Okay? But I was kind about it. And at the time, I think I was a sophomore at that time at Bible college. Me and my good friend, we went home for Christmas. Now we're coming back to Bible college. We had a time frame to make it at college. So we were just speeding, trying to make it. I think we were going like 85 miles an hour in a 70 miles an hour zone. But I bought into what college taught me. That is, you need to dress with a tie in public, and so that way they can identify you. You can set apart as a Christian, and they can already see that something's different about you. So even though we were driving back to the college from Delaware to Chicago, I still had a tie on. My friend had a tie on, and we were just gunning it. And the police pulled us over at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he asked us, why are you guys speeding so much? Where are you going? So we gave him our school ID, obviously our licenses. We explained to him, look, college students, we're trying to make it back. We have a time frame. If we're going to make it, we're going to get demerits. And, just because of the way we would dress and the fact that he can see we were truly college students, he didn't give us a ticket. And we were kind about it. And so he says, well, guys, slow down. You could be my kids. I don't want you to die. All right? Go. You can go. You make it. Just, it's better to get the demerits instead of dying. Okay? Just slow down. And he let us go. Okay? Now, I'm a black man. But it's the way that I responded. And I responded in madness before. It was not a good situation, but I was the problem. Because, the scripture that speaks about authority dealing with, obviously, those who submit to authority. If I respond to the authority in a sweet, kind, gracious, manner, more than likely they're gonna respond to me the same way. But if I respond in anger, in rage, and and a lot of times those are the reason why situation like black and white and racial situation, if you will, just rise up. Okay. To finish with that point. Now, historically speaking, I was just reading a document about Haiti, who was done wrong by the French back in the 1800s, okay, when Haiti had the independence from France. And in France, in order to acknowledge Haiti's independence, they demanded that they pay some kind of I would call it a ransom. Which they did, which put the country in such of a debt. I think it was like the equivalent of $5 billion back in those days. So that caused Haiti to have a debt to pay to France that they could really never, overcome. Because of it, the country plunged into what you call deep poverty. Okay, that's what the document, if you said. Now, they want to use that reason if France will do that to Haiti. Now, the approach is here in the U.S., the blacks wants to use that to demand, the U.S. government to, pay them back for all the years they spent in slavery. And, and the more you think about it is, once again, historically speaking, there's a saying in the state, what's done is already done. Mm-hmm. You can't really go back to supposedly, undo what was done. And I'm a witness in the state the blacks have a lot of opportunities here in the U.S.
Right.
You can go to college, you can get a job. I hate to say it, it's laziness of the brain, the mind, this driving, and I'm speaking from my view. I'm not speaking for all of them.
Yep.
Okay, because I don't want to come across that I'm attacking them, but I'm speaking from what I have seen. I'm a Haitian from Haiti. In high school, I had to study my tail off just to be able to graduate. I didn't speak English. I had to take English as a second language. Then after high school, I had to work my tail off as a second to get a side job to be able to get my way to school. When I went to housing in college, I had to do 2 jobs, 80 hours a week, working my tail off just to be my way. Okay. So by experience, I've learned if you're willing to put your hands to the plow, hard work, and put your mind to good use. The saying is the U.S. is the land of unlimited opportunity. It truly is to some extent. I have met people from India, from China, who came to the U.S. who had nothing, who opened a little restaurant, and they sleep inside the restaurants at night in the mall. And then that's where they will bathe and wash themselves. And that's how they work their way, if you would, to the top, So there is almost like a crippled mentality now of hand out to the government and ask, if you would, for everything that, if you would, the individual is in need of. And that's a destructive, I would say, destruction system to the mind, if you would, of people. As if you go to Haiti, we don't have a government school provision. If your parents cannot pay for your school bill, you don't go to school. It's like it's a system that puts you in the mindset it's almost like the survival of the fittest, if you will put it that way. You have to apply yourself if you want to make it. Otherwise, you're done. Okay. But here it's almost like you have all this opportunity, and yet there's really a great amount of people who don't want to apply themselves. Okay? Right. It's almost like I'm thinking for my son. Okay, if you leave my house, I want to make sure that you got several trades underneath your belt. And if you went to the ministry and you felt like this is not what God wanted you to be, these are the things you can do to be able to take care of your wife and your kids and your family. You become an asset to society, not a liability. So from the historical view of it, again, people want to get this thing, stop beating the drum, there's so many different aspects of it, socially, you could talk about it, so for my kids is, if you prepare yourself for society, and, society don't owe you anything. Everybody should, I didn't know that. Society don't owe you anything. But if you prepare yourself, you're honest, you're kind, you're gracious, the love of God is in your heart, you treat everybody equally, your skin color will not be a problem. Right. And so that's where I don't buy in this thing of, races and stuff. And because of my background, the way I have to work to get to where I am, if I look at, spiritually speaking, all I see is the manifestation of the sinful flesh of man, out of control. There's really, to me, socially speaking, and really, are you going to have a, socialist, society? Are you stupid? Can't you see what's happening in Venezuela? There's no matter how you look at it, there's really nothing good coming out of it. Okay. In Haiti, I've seen this. Are you going to bomb down the country because you can get your way, just because you want your voice to be heard, to be seen? Well, after you've done all this damage, well, you still gotta get money out of the federal, whatever you call it, reserve to undo all the damage that you did. That's what the Haitians people did in Haiti, and their independence, dealing with the French. And they wanted their independence, but they didn't have enough sense. You can chase the people out without destroying the country, because this is where you're going to stay. This is where you're going to leave. When you destroy it, when it's all finished, then how are you going to survive? How are you going to make it when you burn down everything?
Right.
You know, I mean, so many views of, can we just negotiate peaceably? Can we come on the table and talk about this? Can we disagree agreeably? What's the good for the country? What's the good for the people? And that's what I said. This is human flesh, out of control, unreasonable people.
Well, that's it. When God tells us that, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, he wasn't talking about skin color. We're all in this together. But yet you're right. As we throw off what we consider the restraints of God's authority, well, then we're seeing the manifestation of, once we remove God from everything, then what other authorities are we going to adhere to? And there's no authority that we're going to listen to, and there's no authority that we're going to try to allow to maintain in our society. And I think that in this free society of America, we lost sight of the freedoms that God gave us and was one in the early days. And we think that by throwing off all restraints, that's what means freedom, when we're becoming bondage even more and more to sin and unrighteousness and unholiness and everything else. And no, what a great perspective. And and also, as I couldn't help but listen, because we looked at this a couple weeks ago on Father's Day, the difference of when there is a dad, particularly a dad with a biblical perspective, that's training their children in the way that they should go, which is exactly what you're talking about and exactly how you're preparing your kids. And that's a huge blessing. And that's a needed thing too, that I think that we need to be in prayer for, and teaching and training the necessity of the family dynamic as God laid it out, which certainly being undermined today in every realm and facet. But no, that's great. So, well, as we're seeking some sense of normalcy here, you've kind of touched on it in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but can you bring us up to speed? I mean, in all the midst of this turmoil, from a virus that is debilitating people to social unrest and racial, everything else that's going on. And I know it's affecting down there as well, but you all are still trying to recover from some storms and other things that have taken place. So what's the status on everything down there?
I think the last I read, they were just predicting that there might be a storm coming, over Haiti, the Dominican Republic. To be honest with you, after I talk to you, I'm going to go read more on it, just to get me up to date. I have not talked to pastors on the field to ask them, how is this storm affect you guys? Okay, so you have the view of the news, then you also have the view of the people actually that are dealing, with the situation on the ground. So when I find out, then I will know better. Okay, but so far as the local people, the national Haitians and Dominicans, trying to deal with the pandemic, hunger is always the main problem. When I say hunger, I'm talking about food, the necessities of life. Mm-hmm. When you take a culture like Haiti, Dominican Republic, a lot of these people, they live from day to day. They go to work that morning. It's whatever they own that day is what they eat. So this is a culture of $15 a day. And then you're talking about when they get paid that day, the wife will put the pot, on the stove for that night. That's how they survive. So what we did, I didn't have a lot of money, while I was paying, bills here in the state, debt or whatever I own. And then I would take like at least $1,000 a month, and then I would send it to Haiti. My wife sent, I think one time, $400 or $500 extra she gave for the community. And that is, our primary, obviously, responsibility is our church people. We will send food, rice, beans, oil, eggs, or whatever, and then they will go and deliver it to them. And then we felt, actually my wife felt better about the whole community, because there's a lot of poor people in that area. And then she sent a little extra money for the assistant pastor to go and then take that, to non-church people that are really and need, and these are Dominicans, and you can see the video. They were raising their hands in the heavens, praising God, for the blessing that came to them, because the government doesn't really help them. And yet they shut the country down. There's no work, there's no this, there's no that, well, how did they eat? How did they survive? I was talking to another missionary from Guatemala. That was another situation the same way, where the government shut down the country. They could not go out to work. These people live from day to day. They were really literally starving to death, and so what they had to do is tie a white, if you would, piece of cloth, and then put it outside of the door, and so as you walk by, that means they need help, because they couldn't go out of their houses, and so that's what you deal with, so we basically did what we could, and I wanted to do a lot more than that, but like I said, that's all the budget did allow me to do, so that's what we did.
Right. Well, it's certainly a different day when we know that we all have to learn and develop patience, but I think God's doing an extra work in all of us of learning to be patient in a lot of ways.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
So what are some of the projects that you guys were working on when you came back and you were raising support and help and all that kind of stuff? What's the status of some of the projects that you guys have going on down there?
All right. I got like 10 different projects when I go back that I want to accomplish, okay, in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years. But, there's so much. And so I'm trying to focus on 1 or 2 projects at a time,
right,
and get that done and get another. Now I have like 8.5 acres of property that is available to us. I would like to buy it. It's right behind our church property. We own 1.5 acres right now. This is where we're going to put church staff, and so in the back, this is where we're going to put Bible college, and then I call it missionary house, and also guest houses. I wanted to be there on the church property, college property with the students, so that way I can keep sight over them so far as the schedule, the training, the teaching that we want to get across to them. So this is $100,000 project. I've raised so far 10,000 toward it. 10% is what I have, and then and this guy who owned the land, the owner, he's giving me a good deal on it. So $80,000 will go toward the land. Then $20,000 is for like red tapes, lawyer fees, and all this other extra stuff that we need to do. And then with now also the exchange rate is really really good. As if I might be able to save another $5,000 or $8,000, if I were able to raise the money now. Because normally,
so is that 100,000 US or 100,000 Haiti?
100,000 US.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, 100,000 US. So this is the primary project with them. Then one more thing I say about this project is I could put it off and says, well, let's just build our church building. But now let's not worry about that. But the prediction of I have an engineer who counseled me. He says the prediction is the way your church is growing, in 5 years you're going to need more land. Okay, so if you build now and buy later, you're going to pay 5 times more for the land, because the value of property is going really fast and really high. And then, and with now things around us are available, so it's the time. Don't build the building yet. It's better to focus on get more property. So as you build them, the prices of property will go up. It's good for us, and then we set to go. That's one prediction. Then the other project that I'm working on with now is church transportation. We kind of spread out both Haiti and also Dominican Republic, where our people will walk to church. Some of them will walk like 45 minutes one way on their feet. And so we wanted to make it easier for them. And so the idea is $40,000, and I'm going to split that between Haiti and Dominican Republic. And then we would buy maybe 2 pickup trucks. I don't call them pickup trucks. We call them construction trucks. They're a little bit more heavy duty than pickup trucks. and they have a dual axle on the back, and then you would put a cover sheet like on the back and cover the back of it, and then you put benches in the back, and then these trucks are so durable, they're made to carry, heavy duty stuff, So we can go in the mountain, like Haiti, the church is in the mountain, pick up people, bring them down. You can put 60, 70 people in them, and they are able to handle it. Okay, and then also too, they're not too expensive to maintain. Like here, if you get the buses, they are. It's the cost of fuel and tire and all this different stuff. And I have experience having buses, and I don't want buses anymore. It costs me too much money to maintain them. So those are the two, I would say, main project that I'm focusing on for 2021. And then once I get those two in place, then 2022, I'm going to focus on building our church building. And obviously, the Bible college, and then we'll be able to, get things going.
Right. So when you mentioned building the church building, tell folks, when you're talking about your expansion for the church building, what are you guys meeting in right now?
Now the last 9 years, we rent a piece of property, and then it's kind of funny when we rent that little building. To be honest with you, only set up 20 chairs inside of that little building, all right? And then it took me a whole year just to reach enough people to fill 20 chairs, right? Then we knocked the wall in the middle of that little building, make it one. And then now we had chairs for 50 people, space for 50 people. So we set up chairs for 50. Then we grew, and then now we moved the church outside. Now we have an outside open air space. So we built it for 200, and then we average about 120, 130 now. Okay, so we have space for another 70 people. Okay, so when we have like big days, we have like 250, and it's jam packed. And then one time we had like a pastors conference, where we have pastors come from all over the place. We had like 15 pastors came with the churches, and I had to tell them, don't bring more than 10 people or 20 people, because, I got my own people, where I'm going to fit all of the people, which is a good problem, Right. And then so with now, we lease a piece of property. We have 5 Sunday school classes. And then I had to ask the neighbor across the street, can I use your front porch for a Sunday school class? Okay. And they graciously allow us to do it. And I had to go to the other neighbor and say, can I use your backyard? Let us do it, So to me, the people at the church, I'm more interested in seeing spiritual growth in the lives of the people more than the building itself. Okay, and then the people are growing spiritually. If you watch our video with our prayer letter, there's a decision of the people who were living together. Now they understand they need to get married, and they will obey. We see men are taking classes, young men, they are teaching them, and then so we see spiritual growth, and I feel like this is a preparation and the character, and also in their heart, their mind, spirituality of the people. God is putting the foundation in them, and then once that foundation is in place, then I feel like then the materialistic blessings will not become, I'm going to use the word, a curse later on. Because what I mean by that is, as a missionary, I've learned by experience, if I allow the materialistic to become the focal point of the people, instead of the spirituality, they get derailed, literally speaking, derailed. You can't get them to go out sowing anymore. They're not interested in the spiritual things anymore. And it's almost like I wanted to go back to do it poor again, because that's what you were more sweet, more obedient, and that's when they were really more fervent about the Lord. And so I'm constantly trying to keep this spirituality in front of them. It says, remember, when you lose God, you lose, your devotion to God, you lost everything, and that's what Moses meant when he says, if you're not going to go with us speaking to God, don't take us yonder, Right. And so this is basically where our people are.
Amen. No, that's awesome. That's a blessing. So your plans for return right now are October, correct? Tentative?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's October. I'm trying to make up for the time that we lost.
Yep.
And in fact, but now I really am. After I talked to you, I got to call churches and I've sent some information package out and try to get into new churches. Not only do I want to raise money for those projects, I'm also planting churches. I think we got 5 new churches. Amen. This year. We wanted to kick off the ground. Okay. So this is a $6,000 project per church. That's a $30,000 project. Mm-hmm. And then it's each church $6,000 for 1 year. That's support for the national pastor. It's like $300 a month for them and their family. Then the rest of the money is to rent a little piece of property, put up and open a building, get them a little PA system, a little generator, because Haiti doesn't have, as you know, electricity in some remote areas. So then they get the church off, if you would, the ground for at least 1 year, and then that give them time to, teach them and document the people, and then to get a good, solid nucleus group of people together. So in that fund, with now I have like $18,000 a church to be national pastors for us, which is amazing. So I need 2 more churches to help. Like if another church could pick 1 national pastor, okay, that would be awesome. And then another church can take on 1 national pastor for the year. And then, we sent what you call update or report to that church. It's like now that church have their own project going on with this national church. This is a church, literally speaking, giving birth to a new church on the mission field. Amen. So that's going really well. So every year I have the goal of 2 new churches after 2020. 1 church in the Dominican Republic and 1 church in Haiti. That's the goal.
Now, do you have the men in place, the pastors to do this? Are these men you're training, or you have them in place?
Yes. If you look at my website, which is Haitian for His Kingdom, mm-hmm. We have the 3 pastors for Haiti right now. We already got them. These guys have been in staff for 10 years or so. Not only they got their training, but they also have experience. Serving in the Church of St. Mark as assistant. One guy, he's the what you call an office coordinator, the superintendent for the Sunday school. Another one has been a teacher for 10 years. And so they got their training. They've already got their area. They've already went soul winning. They've already have one guy already put up his building. He has his group of people ready to go. But with the pandemic, he had to stop, because the whole country was shut down. So in the Dominican Republic, I got 2 more guys that I want to get going. But when I go back, then I'm going to see if I can really take over and then let them go ahead and leave and go plant their church.
Amen. We'll be praying for those projects. Any other specific prayer requests for you and your family or ministry?
I would say keep on praying for my family, because obviously the more we try to do for God, the more pressure, it's on the marriage.
Right.
And then I can get really consumed with the work, and so pray that I can, that I keep the schedule balance between my family and the ministry. And my children and wife, they sing, they love the ministry, they end it with all of their hearts and their mind. But with my wife, homeschooling, and she has her heart. She wants to help me in office work and this and that. I'm constantly saying, no, you don't want to do this, And in fact, I just took away from her. I'll put a letter, if you would, responsibility. She used to take care of it, write them, and then I would write them, give it to her. She would proofread them and then print them and then send them out. There's another lady who helped us in Florida, and I kind of took that away from my wife and give it to the lady. She did not enjoy it, even though she's dying under the Lord, right? That's the kind of lady she is. She just pray that God will give me the wisdom to still do my father's duty really well, my husband's duty really well. I like to separate stuff so I can see it really clear, so I don't get it all muddy, and then I can't really understand what's going on. And so, her, she's my sweetheart. I call her beloved, and I really want to keep our marriage, flourishing. And then the kids, obviously, I got vision and goal for them that I can get my idea across to them really well and then keep their focus in the right direction. In the meantime, while we keep this ministry stuff going, so yeah, pray for that.
Amen. Oh, that all dads and husbands would have that prayer request every day, and we'll make that a matter of prayer for you guys as well. Well, brother, as we get ready to close out this segment, any final words, challenge, or charge to the saints that are out there that are listening and watching this?
Yes, sir. If I may share with you for my devotion this morning, there is, I will say, so much that I could say. I'm trying to think which way to go. But yesterday in Psalms, let me find the text where I read. I think I spent about 2 hours taking notes on this particular psalm. This is Psalms 91. Okay, yeah. However, this man was, may I say, but he's the one who wrote Psalms, if you would, 71. Okay, so he was asking God to help him in his life and this world below in which he lived, because he was in so much trouble. Okay, so the first thing that I see in the psalm is this man was speaking to God. So, which means this was a direct conversation between him and God, and surely this shows the existence of God, because why would you be talking to someone who doesn't exist? Why would you be talking to something that does not, if you would, that's not there? So at least from his view, you can see he believed in the existence of a living God that he can communicate with. And secondly, he believes in God's, not only does he believe in God's existence, but he also believes in the ability of God to hear him and then to get involved in his daily life, from day, if you would, to day. Okay, so this is what he speaks about quickly in the Psalms. He was speaking to God about serious troubles he had seen in his lifetime, and he did not, if you would, use the word serious, rather he used the word sore troubles. So he has seen great troubles, and so he said that it was God who showed him those troubles. So, in other words, it seems to me he's saying is that God is, even the troubles which he saw, God was in control of those troubles. It was God who sent those troubles into his life, and he was acknowledging that. And then so he says those troubles has catastrophic effect on him. It sounds like they completely buried him to the depths of the earth. If you read in the Psalms, now that I know the chapter, let me quote where he said that he was buried in the depths, if you would, of the earth. This is Psalm 71 and verse 20. He says this: "Thou which hast showed me great and sore troubles, shall quicken me again, and shall bring me up again from the depths of the earth." So to him, it was God who showed him those troubles. Okay, because again, he's a believing God. Nothing that happened to him did not come from God. So if the troubles come, it is God that allowed if you would to come, and God has a reason, and also if you would a purpose for allowing it to be. So to the Christians, to the believers, there's no hopes with God. There's no chance. There's nothing that happened to us that God did not allow it to be. He knows it. Even the unsaved, if we read back in the Genesis, the things that comes into their lives, God already knows of those things, and he's watching those things. He's aware of those things. Okay, and the Tower of Babel, when God came down and put division among the human race. So the Psalms is so long. I think I'll talk about 7 or 8 different pages of notes on it. But in this time of pandemic, the times of chaos, it has the potential to really shake the mind, the heart of Christians and believers, and to the point that to really make us wonder, this God knows what's going on with us. Is he aware of what's going on? Oh, yes, he is. Again, there's nothing that happened to the human life, the human race, that God does not already know. Like yesterday, at the church in North Carolina where I am, my wife was shopping at Walmart. And then now, from what I understand, Walmart will not give change back in coins, at least where we are. They don't want cash anymore. They either have debit or credit. That's exactly, they're saying that they are running, I think there's a shortage for coins or cash, some crazy stuff if you would be coming up with in North Carolina. Okay. That's enough to really put the fear, in our mind and our hearts, to the point that we wonder, where is this thing going? But to us believers, in Psalms 18:71, it shows that the troubles that comes, God knows about them. He allowed them to be. And if they buried us deep in the middle of the earth, guess what? The God who allowed the troubles to bury us, he's also able to quicken us and bring us out, if you're from the grave of those troubles in which we are buried, So to me, we have nothing to fear. It's a matter of getting deeper in our Bible, getting closer to God. And again, when as you said, it seems like worldwide, the human flesh is out of control. I'm not about Dominican Republic, Haiti, I'm not about here in the US. As a believer, I know my flesh can get out of control too if I do not abide in God. It was John chapter 3, I read that this morning, to make me spiritual, godly, and to really bring the old nature under control. Okay, and so that way I can be the spiritual man I need to be. Okay, so these are a bunch of unsaved people ruled by Satan, controlled by Satan. We know that. God is love, so love equals God. Evil is satanicism. Evil equals with Satan being in control, ruling through the human flesh, and this one in this life which we live. So what can we do as Christians, as believers? Well, number one is we need to get close to God. Number two, keep preaching the gospel. That's what the apostles did in the scripture. When the church of Jerusalem was scattered. So everywhere the Christians went, they preached the gospel. Because why? The church could be under persecution, the Christians could be scattered, but God dwell in us. So wherever we are, God is with us. And I preach at a camp meeting where I am right now. It is true, we need not to forsake the assembly of the saints. But the truth is, our life is not built around the church. Our life built around Jesus Christ. It built around God. Because if the church gets scattered, then what will we do? Be close to God. If the church was divided, then what must we do? Wherever we are, we start church services. In prison, now I think it's the FEMA camp people are afraid of. The prediction of this coronavirus, where is it taking us? We don't know. What they said in February, that, they have gone, you're talking about millions of miles away from what they had predicted. They said it was for 2 weeks, they were going to shut down the country, if you remember when they first started out. But now they're constantly expanding it. Obviously, we know our president is constantly fighting against this thing, trying to open our schools back up, and at least we know he is in our favor. There's no doubt, if you know. But there's another group with this coronavirus stuff fighting. But for us believers, the best thing I believe we can do is get closer to God. He's in control, no matter where we are. Preach Jesus, stay close to the Lord, and let's be witnesses for Him. Let's be filled with His Spirit. Let's love our brothers and sisters. And if somebody's in need, we have the ability to help them. Let's do it. We save. We have the love of God in us, and that's basically is the best thing that we can give to this wicked world in which we live.
Amen. No, brother, it's always a blessing to talk to you and hear from you and your perspective, and so excited for what God's doing in and through you and your family in Dominican Republic and Haiti. We are excited for what the future holds. We know that the blessing about we have nothing to fear in the future. God's already there, and what a joy and that blessing that is. Well, please send all of our church regards to your wife Erica and all the kids. And we'll look forward to, we'll do this again with the entire family, Lord willing, when we're having live services and our folks can ask questions and see what's going on there. And we'll be in prayer that you'll be able to make it back south in October, and this new transition government that they don't shut the country down again for a period of time. We'll be in prayer for you, and we'll be praying about how we can. We're glad that we're able to partner now, prayerfully and financially, but we'll be certainly praying how we can partner even more in these days to come in the ministry down there. Thanks for taking the time, and what a blessing it's been to have you on this Ask the Pastor segment again. And to our folks, I say, take heed to the message, the challenge that Brother Biz has given to us, a tremendous challenge, lots of challenges, quite frankly, and I hope and pray and trust that we'll take to heart and be doers of God's word in these days to come. Good night. Lord bless you.